Now, Kenshin is coming to global in a few days, and of course we'll be doing should you summons and everything else like we usually do. But I would like to give just an overall arching brief description of everybody, telling you why they're good, why you should consider this crossover, because a lot of people are just thinking of just skipping this crossover, and I think there's a lot of value here that you definitely shouldn't miss out on. We'll be talking about units and equips in this video, by the way. Let's focus on someone that not a lot of people even know about, or I don't think anyone has really talked about, which is Sakura Sanosuke. There's a reason why people don't talk about him, because my brother got B output up on his true art. He does have a bit of usability in the kit because he does give 20 art gauge on the art while buffing up everybody's paralysis and freeze res by 100%, which, you know, that's actually not too bad considering certain fights in the game where you're going to be getting frozen quite a bit. However, the thing that's ridiculous when it comes to this man Sakura is actually his super art. His super art has a big multiplier of 200k, it ignores the enemy's defense, but it has an additional thing. If you're above 80% HP for 70 seconds, you increase your super art damage by 150%, and this bad boy is stackable. So if you're able to get off multiple uses of this super art, he's on water for an example, so you know he could be used alongside Hoka, Roy, and if you want to like really buff up his damage against a singular fight, you could use Shadow or something, right? And get crazy amounts of damage through him with this super art. The largest number I've ever seen with Sakura was this right here. You're reading that right, chat. That says 9 billion. Unfortunately, this is where it ends with Sakura. He really doesn't do anything else apart from big deeps. He punches stuff and enemies die, you know? I mean, what else can you ask for? Next is Kenshin, and so many people are sleeping on my boy, and I don't know why. Sure, Kenshin isn't doing anything different when it comes to his kit. It's very like, you know, copy and paste of a lot of other units, I feel. But the main strength of this unit lies in his Archon typing being type F, and the fact that he has the start of quest DR. This starter quest DR can scale all the way up to 40% DR for 120 seconds if you fulfill the conditions on it. Light allies are the ones that increase the damage res. Humans are the ones that increase the duration on this passive. So you can mix and match. You don't have to get it perfect to where you're using only light humans. But if you can, then it will definitely help out quite a bit. This DR buff is insane for any fight that doesn't go over 2 minutes. This DR buff can surprisingly be a little bit good when it comes to nukes, because let's say you do a crazy nuke against a boss using a mono light team, or the boss has an end nuke, this DR could be the reason why you survive that end nuke. Of course, the biggest issue with Kenshin is just he's on a timer, but let's be honest, in majority of in-game fights, you're already on a timer. You are going to die if you can't beat this boss within like a certain amount of minutes because they're stacking damage resist down on you, or they're stacking damage on themselves, or whatever the case may be. And that's it for the part 1 units. The main takeaway here is that out of the two, Kenshin is absolutely the one that's going to give you the most value compared to someone like Sakura. Part 2 features Makoto and Hajime. Makoto himself is a fire unit that's able to give fire allies a constant Archon buff that is further increased when he is the leader. He has DR up against enemies with status elements, which may sound a little whack, but hey, at least it's not only one status element. He has 150% DR down against any enemy in the game. By the way, this animation is actually really fast. He has a huge fire damage buff on that super art with a 100% chance to inflict burn, which, you know, if he inflicts the enemy with burn, you get DR on the art. And the last thing is, if you like these characters that are all about being low on HP and they get stronger when they're low on HP, look no further than Makoto, because he is one of these characters. Bonus points too, because if you can cause him to burn, which more than likely you're going to be able to if you use the super art, he's going to get an even further damage buff. This is one of the characters that I'm still a little bit skeptical of. I think he sounds really good on paper, and there's definitely going to be some team comps that can utilize this guy to the fullest. Like him and Shizu might be a match made in heaven. I'm going to need to see more gameplay with Makoto. He has potential though, and if it works the way that I think it's going to work, this unit is going to be ridiculous. Last but not least is our boy Hajime. You would say maybe the king of this crossover. It's arguably between him and Kenshin, but Hajime is insane. I wouldn't really recommend a character that is just all about DPS. He's kind of offering more than just damage. For one, let's talk about his passive, because this links into his entire kit. His passive is going to be able to buff up his skill art gauge by 100, and you're doubling the super art damage multiplier at the start of battle. 100 art gauge on the skill enables you to go into the art, which does give a stats up to himself and also human allies. The true arts, 30 burst art gauge to everyone. You reduce the enemy's physical res by 100%. You already know who I'm thinking of pairing this guy with. The super art's going to give you an accuracy buff, plus reduce the enemy's damage res by 75%. If you're not inflicted by a status element, which, I mean, what are statuses these days, right? 75% additional DR on the enemy, meaning that you get 150% DR down. If this wasn't enough, his true weapon is also True Owen, but for dark units. Hajame's damage is going to be astronomical. This is definitely one of those units that come out and you're like, he kind of sets a new ceiling for a lot of the other characters in the game with his DPS. We'll have to see how long that this stays like this, but the issue with this though is that it only lasts for the very first super art on a stage. That's where you're going to be getting the massive damage, 460k, right? After that, your super art damage is going to be going down to 230k, which is not bad. This is not like terrible. It's still going to be really good. It's just not going to be that 460k multiplier that it was whenever you first got in there. Of course, though, you know, props to anything that is surviving this doesn't have like a threshold mechanic. Since if you combine this guy with defense ignore, crit, whatever, he has a 5-star support, he can give himself crit through like true EX gate, right? He's gonna burst through anything in the game. Even if you don't give him anything like that, he's still gonna burst through most enemies in the game because of the massive DR down. This is really one of those units that you look at and you can rave about for hours on end, but you don't need to. If you've been playing GS for about 2 weeks, maybe 3, you look at this character, you're like, oh yeah, this guy's busted. This is the most busted unit I've ever seen in the game. So TLDR, out of everybody, Kenshin and Hajime are going to be your 2 main targets from this crossover. Both are offering you art gauge, both do really solid damage, and both are going to be some of the top units in each of their individual roles. But these 2 units aren't the only things you should be seeking in this crossover. We also have the gacha equips. Now, I know some people are like, oh my god, gacha equips, how am I going to do this, man? I can't afford this. I'm going to be broke with the units. But hey, you know, if you got some extra, go at this. It's not the biggest priority, but definitely there's some in here that you may want to consider. First off, we have the katana from part 1. This is going to be able to give you a 60% light res down based on the amount of light allies in your party. If you're running a mono light nuke, well, there you go, that's 60%. The next item is going to be something that's like built for Gamagori. This gives 30% physical res to everyone. You increase damage res by 20% to whoever is on the lowest HP. And that's it for the part 1 equips. I know, kind of lackluster, only 2, but that's really all I could find that were kind of usable. Part 2 equips is going to be Hajame's shoes. Now, this isn't going to be giving you a damage buff by any means, but it does give you 30% accuracy. This can be paired with stuff like Pronimios or any other type of accuracy buff to really boost up your accuracy against any boss that has tons of evasion. After that, we have Makoto's sword, which is pretty much like Momon's greatsword from the Overlord collab, but this time it's going to be for fire allies. We also have Makoto's kimono, which is going to be really good in any kind of nuke composition since it instantly gives you that 80 arc gauge, plus you reduce the enemy's fire res by 35%. And lastly, we have the kimono here, which is able to increase target's dark res by 30%. Additionally, if used for the first time, look at that, ladies and gentlemen, we have a Black Trike substitute finally. So if you missed Black Trike before and you're like, man, I've been wishing I had one for so long, get this kimono. And that is it for everything in the Kenshin crossover. I hope I gave everything a really good brief explanation, kind of showed you guys the value in some of these things. I wish that on my JP account that I haven't played in months, I actually had these units so I could show you gameplay, different team compositions and all that type of stuff to be able to really drive it home on like where these units could really shine at. But unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait till these guys actually come on global and I'm able to make some showcases and then we can see gameplay for all their power, right? But hey, you guys tell me down below what you all think about the Kenshin crossover. Did this video influence you by any means? Are you going for the Kenshin crossover now? Are you still on the fence about it? Or are you just gonna wait till you see some gameplay on global and decide from there? I'd love to hear all your thoughts down below in the comment section. As for me, of course, I'm gonna be going for both these guys. I have around 1,000 something crystals saved up at the moment, so I'm really hoping to walk away with at least Kenshin and Hajime from this collab. The other 2 would be cool if I could get them, but if I don't, then hey man, it's not that big of a deal. But hey, thank you all again for coming out. It's been OP, and last but not least, you guys already know, don't forget to drink water. But hey man, thank you all again for coming out. I wish all you guys the best of luck in your crossover summons. If you did enjoy this video though, I highly recommend check out this video right here. This is talking about some of the future characters coming out that you may want to save for in Grand Summoners. Spoiler alert, Kenshin is on here, but there's a lot of other characters too that are definitely worth looking at. I'll meet you over there, but before you leave, don't forget to drink water.